This story contains graphic content. Viewer discretion is advised. This story is from Dark Hero. Title name, Together Forever. This all started a little over a year ago when I was scrolling through a certain dating app. I'm a guy in his mid-20s, just wanted to find someone to connect with. I'm painfully introverted, so going out and meeting people has always been difficult for me. My friends try to set me up with girls that they know, but things never work out. I've spent most of my life just being that friend who the girls love to see as a brother. Well, post-quarantine, and I really wanted to be with someone, so I decided to try and put myself out there with online dating. Making a profile was awkward. I didn't know what to put out there that makes me sound appealing. I took a selfie to show what I looked like, but I was hit with the cruel realization that I was not only boring, but unattractive. Chris, age 26. I live alone, no pets, but I love animals. Watching movies, and my favorite night is binge watching things all night. My picture was of me at an awkward angle, flashing a goofy smile with my brown hair in its unusual shaggy mess. I spent a good hour swiping left and right on my phone screen, reading the different profiles of people in my area. Honestly, most of these women are way out of my league, and it was no surprise that I had 0 matches. Anxiety eventually got the best of me, and I decided to just leave my phone on the table. I didn't want the pace of back and forth, so I watched one of my favorite comedy movies to calm me down. A couple of hours later, I took a deep breath to see no matches. In just a few hours of my self-esteem being plummeted to a new low. I know, few hours isn't long, but there's hundreds of people in my area, and yet here I am with no matches. I thought maybe I should broaden my area, so I increased the range for matches. It got to the point where my results show women just a few states away. My phone sat quietly in my hand. My heart just couldn't take anymore, so I decided to sleep it off. The following morning, I didn't even want to look at my phone, so I ignored it while I get ready for work. Before stepping out of my apartment, I sucked it up, clicked on my phone to see that I eventually had a notification from the dating app. You have 1 like. God, my eyes almost popped out of my head when I saw that. I quickly got into the app to find a blurry picture of someone. Get premium to see who likes you. Come on. I let out a groan, but succumbed to the pressure of the marketing. On my screen was a stunning woman with shoulder-length blonde hair, a pretty pearly smile, and shining blue eyes. Her name was Mia, and she was on the other side of the United States. She listed some of her favorite movies in her profile, some of which were mine. Mia displayed pictures in her scrubs at a hospital I assume she works at. Herself in a cringy yet cute duck face pose with a peace sign, and a picture of herself in a dress at a beach. She describes herself as an introvert just trying this whole online dating thing out. Looking for something serious, please. I swiped on her, super like, whatever it was that showed this stupid app that I just want to talk to her. A couple of minutes later, I got a message.
Hi.
I was taken aback. My heart started to thump, and I took a few minutes just to gather enough composure to say, hey. Smooth moves, right? It just took off from there. Fortunately, she seemed pretty talkative and carried the conversation. She asked me the questions like,
What do you like to eat? What do you like to do on the weekend?
And
What do you do for work?
I answered everything she asked, and she told me her answers.
I love meat. I'm a fatty, sorry. I just like staying in, watching a movie or something.
And
I'm a nurse. I love my job.
She was so cute, and I responded to each of her texts as soon as I could. We talked all day, and that made me feel so damn elated. She didn't make me feel uncomfortable. Talking to her was so easy, and God, my heart was beating out of my chest. She eventually gave me her phone number, and honestly, I was a little shy to text her. She messaged me.
Text me, you goof.
I felt so nervous, and I responded, "You want me to text your actual number?" A few minutes later, I got a reply.
I gave it to you, didn't I?
So I did just that. I texted her, and we continued talking. The day quickly turned into weeks of us talking, and the texts became phone calls. We exchanged pictures every day. Nothing lewd, just smiling faces we exchanged with one another. Mia became part of my life, and I fell in love with her. Our casual conversations became serious talks of being together in the future. I was happy with this. Having someone to talk to and feeling loved was what I wanted. I thought that I was in a perfect relationship until things suddenly took a turn. A few months into our relationship, Mia started becoming a little bit obsessive. I don't know what suddenly changed, but she insisted on calling me every hour of every day. She would even call me a few times in the middle of the night just to check in on me. I would wake up in the morning with dozens of text messages, and I didn't reply during that time that I'm awake. She would just call me and ask me how I was doing.
Hi, what you doing, babe?
I wasn't sure what to think. I thought for a moment that this was all normal behavior. I mean, things were going so well that I didn't want to lose Mia over something stupid like too many texts. When her calls and messages started getting in the way of work, I tried to tell her to ease up a bit. I told her I loved her and that I wasn't up to anything underhand, but she would laugh it off.
Oh, I know. I just can't be away from you for too long.
I worried that the long distance was a little bit too much for her, but I just wasn't prepared to pack up everything and move just to see her yet. I was beginning to lose sleep due to the constant check-ins. There was no way that a person could call and text every hour of every day, but she did so with ease. Mia was relentless. While I was beginning to grow more wary every day, I finally told her that I needed a break, and she snapped at me on a phone call.
No, 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 no! Don't leave me alone! You said that you love me, and I love you. So what if I call a bit? I just want to be with you all the time.
I started to feel bad, as if I was the one in the wrong, but the next day, it got worse. Her calls and texts came every few minutes now. I finally told her in a text, "Okay, enough! I had enough of it. Just leave me alone." The next morning, I noticed that I actually had a full night's sleep. Not only that I woke up to no new messages on my phone, I messaged her to make sure that she was okay, but I got no reply. Then the next day came, and still, no texts. I couldn't help but feel bad, so I texted her sorry. Still, no reply. I felt really bad actually, but at the same time, I felt relieved. It was as if a grip had loosened around my throat and I was free. I wanted to be in a relationship and I think I loved her, but it was so suffocating. That night, I got a notification from Mia with a picture of a sign. Not just any sign. It was one of those welcome signs you would see when entering a state. Welcome to Alabama. And no, this wasn't a picture on Google. This was a picture that she took on her phone to send it to me. Mia was in my state. Which wouldn't be weird, but she supposedly lived in New York. Then she sent me a picture of another sign. Welcome to... She was in the city where I lived in. And then another picture. Except this one had the office where I worked at, along with a text.
Almost there.
I was hit with confusion, then terror crept when I realized that I had told Mia almost everything about where I worked and where I lived. I heard a light tapping coming from my front door. A familiar yet chilling voice could be heard from the other side.
I'm here.
I stood there in silence, frozen like a deer in headlights. I wasn't sure why. This was someone I loved, but I felt so afraid. Then a sharp, scraping noise began to pierce the silence. She raked her nails on my door.
Come here, baby. Come closer. I know you're in there.
She said with a snarl. For some reason, my feet couldn't move. In a normal situation, you would feel happy about seeing your partner, but I was overcome with dread. The voice on the other side of the door sounded like Mia, but it was somewhat dissonant, as if another lower voice was overlapping hers. I couldn't help but hold my breath. I didn't want her to hear me inside my home. The scraping noise ceased, and her voice let out a wail.
Be with me! Be with me!
I felt my body begin to shake as I stared towards the front door.
Be with me!
It was silent for a moment longer, and then I saw the doorknob twist. The door began to slowly creak open. It sounded like a scream. When the door was fully open, I was met with darkness. There was no one at my front door. I finally released my breath, and I quickly took in oxygen. Hello? I called out. Nothing responded. I tiptoed towards the door, wary if I just experienced of would just be part of my imagination or something much worse. When I finally made it to the door, I reached my head out of the threshold and looked around. This was another stupid move I made. Before I knew something was wrong, I felt something pressing against my nose and mouth. I started to feel dizzy. Then everything faded to black. I'm not sure how long I was out, but I awoke with a splitting headache, and my throat felt raw. I was staring up into more darkness. My back was against something hard and smooth, while my whole body felt cold. I looked around and realized that I was on the floor somewhere, stripped completely naked. My arms were above me, and I felt cold metal around my wrist. I was handcuffed to a pole, or something. My legs were free, but I felt too weak to move them. I heard footsteps coming towards me, and in the corner of my eyes, I could see her. Mia, in a white dress, with a crazed look in her face. She got on top of me. Despite the slight numbness, I could feel her weight pressing on my waist. Mia bent over and placed her lips on mine. I felt the sharp pain, and then the taste of iron touched my tongue. Mia rose, and her mouth was covered in my blood. I felt a warm trickle just down a corner of my mouth. This was no longer the woman I fell in love with. The racing I felt in my chest wasn't from love, but from terror. Her blonde hair was matted, her blue eyes were cloudy, and her smile was stained red with my blood. She was breathing heavily as if excited for this moment and said,
Let's be together. Let's become one.
She began to lift her white dress over her head to reveal her bare skin. That's when I looked down her body, down her chest, to her stomach, to see another face staring at me. I let out a shock wail. On Mia's stomach, stitched to her skin, was the dried face of another person. A man. She noticed my surprise and slid her fingers down her body to the face that I was staring at.
I hope you don't mind, babe. He's just another one that I love. But it's okay. I won't love him as much as you,
she said with a smile placid on her face. She reached towards something besides me. It was a small paring knife. She hummed as she took the tip of the blade, and it pierced the skin near my cheekbone. I was about to let out a yell, but a free hand clasped around my mouth before I uttered a noise.
Shh, shh, shh. Don't make a noise. Don't move or I'll mess up.
I was able to exert enough strength to resist, and Mia pulled the blade from my face.
Stop! Please stop moving!
She screamed, and I continued my attempts to get her off me. She looked at me with eagerly pleading eyes and said in a calm voice,
Don't move, baby. I need your face intact.
Then Mia's eyes widened if she had an epiphany.
Oh, baby.
She cooed.
Don't be jealous of this. Don't be jealous.
She removed her hand from my mouth and grasped the small blade. She had pressed the paring knife into her stomach, on the edge of the face she had sewn onto her.
Don't worry, baby. You'll have the only spot, okay?
Blood sprayed on me as I watched in horror as she slowly cut and peeled the excess flesh from her belly. Tossing the face aside as if it were trash, her gaze shifted back towards me. Mia giggled as she said,
Now, you're the only one for me!
I was frantic at this point. I tugged and tugged my arms. The handcuffs were tight around my wrist, and I could feel the skin tear. Mia inched closer and closer with the knife to my face, and I continued my futile attempts to escape until I heard a disgusting crack. Before I knew it, my right hand was free from its cuffs, and with my left hand balled into a fist, I cracked it against her temple.
Why would you hate your own girlfriend? But that's okay. I still love you.
Her body came crashing down, but I didn't pause for a second. I held my bloody right wrist and limped towards the nearest open door. I had no idea where I was, but I was obviously in some abandoned building. I was surrounded by debris, and I traced every corner for an exit, or at least somewhere to hide.
Baby, where are you?
I heard her voice behind me. I continued to hobble forward, and I just ducked away into the nearest room. The room was some kind of medical room. There were old filing cabinets and tables piled up. I quickly squeezed myself into the rubble and held my breath. Her voice echoed through the air as she neared in the room that I was in.
Baby!
I saw through the cracks that she was at the door, looking around like a beast, a monster. After a few seconds, she advanced and I took my chance to go towards the window. The window was already smashed open with bits of sharp glass on the edges. A cool breeze hit my bare body and sent a cold chill down my spine. I carefully grasped the glass in hopes of breaking it to allow an easier escape through the window, when suddenly I felt a tug on my throat. My body flew backwards and I was back onto the floor. Mia was standing before me with her blade glinting beside her.
Be with me! Be with me!
She lunged towards me and I closed my eyes. I felt the sharp edge pierce the flesh. I opened my eyes to see her staring back at me with wide eyes, and the piece of glass that I had grabbed deep into her throat. My vision was soon covered in scarlet as I pulled the glass out of her throat and her blood sprayed all over me.
Stay! 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 Stay!
Her body collapsed and she slowly outreached her hand to me.
Stay! Stay!
She said as blood filled her mouth. I couldn't help but cry as I ran through the building like a madman. I don't know how long it took it, but eventually I found the exit. I roamed the streets for what felt like an eternity until the cops finally found me. A naked man running through the city covered in blood. They took me in, and I was examined by the EMT. At the hospital, I told the police everything that had happened to me, and they confirmed Mia's corpse at the building I described. Apparently, Mia wasn't her real name at all, and she was on the run for murder of her previous lover, who wanted to leave her. Mia, or whoever she was obsessed. She was unhinged. She didn't want to be alone so badly that she thought she had to do what she did in order to prevent that loneliness. She was afraid of me leaving her, but that doesn't make any of it okay. It took a long while for me to recover physically, but it's going to take me a lot longer to recover mentally, emotionally. But I think things have gotten worse. The other day I was washing my face, and behind my reflection was... It was someone that looked like Mia, and she whispered in my ear,
Together. Forever.
Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you enjoy this, please like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. I want to give a thanks to RomNex for helping me out making this video. You did awesome. Thank you.
Good night, farewell, and remember, don't get lost in the dark.